Welcome to Gazali. We have with us Parag Sonarghare, one of India's upcoming young painters. His style of painting is absolutely amazing. You're going to find out in just a few minutes. Parag has done his masters from the famous Maharaja Sayajirao University in Vadodara in Gujarat. It's a pleasure to have him with us. Let's find out a little more about his practice, his works, and who he is as an artist. So Parag, I have very simple questions.
Okay. Firstly, thank you for speaking to me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for doing this. In fact, we've been seeing your works over the years, and it's I don't know how to say it. It's got so much detail. But how much, approximately, generally speaking, how much time does it take for you to, from the start to the finish, complete one painting of yours?
So it depends on the visual size I'm painting, and plus what sort of detail it has. So I've started when I had started with this particular visual quality, it was taking around. So first work of mine took around 3.5 months, but then I could in a way manage the speed with 2 months for a work. But then again the detailing was a lot after I went on doing more of these works. So I have been working on a work for 6 months continuously. I have also painted a foot, which took almost 1.5 years to paint, because I couldn't do it just continuously work on it. But then eventually with breaks in between, I was doing some other works as well. So I could also keep up the energy and the strength going in that work. So that's how it took around 1.5 years for that work.
You said you painted a foot.
Yep.
And I don't think the viewers know that usually for all of us normal people, a foot is 1 foot long. But Parag Sonarghare's foot is 10 feet long. I don't think people understand this concept till they see his paintings actually. So it took you 1 year to do. Why did you choose this subject? Why did you paint this foot?
So firstly, initially I've painted bodies, full bodies, and then with my idea, with my experience, it led me to painting faces, portrait.
Yes.
And then eventually I also thought that body itself, whole body is sort of an evidence of the journey that person is in.
Nice.
So that ways I thought even hands, foot, body fragments can be that sense of evidence, and I somehow in a way somehow was taken by the visual qualities they had, the story it had to share. Especially the foot, hands, what I've painted. So that in a way took me closer to them, and in a way I would not want viewer to experience body from 10 foot, but I would want viewer to be standing 4 inches, 3 inches away from the body and then to observe. Then, when I'm saying body, I'm saying in context of my painting. So in a way, when you're seeing my paintings, they are generally large scale, but
very, very large scale.
Yes, but as a viewer, you are in a way watching or seeing body just 2-3 inches. So that creates a whole different experience, and it also creates some pause in your head, and then you start really looking carefully what the painting is and how the body in a way be or is present, and somehow that plays with your experience.
It's interesting you speak of the body again and again. I know the viewers don't know that you started your career as a painter, switched to performance art, and now have come back to painting. This journey has always involved the body. It has always involved your body, and now this fascination with the human body. And so I want to ask you, can you explain this journey? Why did you switch from painting to performance, and then you came back?
Right.
Pretty fascinating.
So earlier when I had started, when I was in my bachelor's, I was learning painting. I've done my bachelor's in painting. So during that time, I was not really aware of performance art or what is performance art, how performance and performing art is different from each other. But when I went to Baroda, I became aware about performance art, and somehow a kind of experiment I was doing in painting while I was in Nagpur So during that time, I had asked some local painters to paint my body for the kind of subject I was painting. And when I went to Baroda, I realized that it is the similar sort of things maybe I have done in the past, and which can also lead to be doing performance. So that's how I ventured into performance. Initially, I liked it, and I have done quite a few performances. So there I was in a way taken by the speed, style, expression, and yet you could use photographs of the performance to in a way display eventually in the exhibition. So that was, but then I think I went through an accident which had a huge impact, in a way life changing. I generally try and say it's like I always have these two phases, like pre-accident and post-accident phase of working. So the sense of urgency I in a way experienced in my mind, that in a way made me more aware about the body. And eventually when I started painting, so earlier I used to paint masked bodies, like painted bodies, but then it was more about the evidence, the sense of reality, who we are as a person, or how ordinary we are in a way, and how special we are in a similar fashion. So that took me to paint the way I'm painting these days.
It's amazing. So you took your personal, it was a car accident or motorcycle accident?
Motorcycle accident.
And that triggered a bunch of thoughts in and converted your artwork.
Yes.
It's pretty amazing. And you have those scars on your body, is that?
Yes. That's like this.
No, you can't say it.
You can't
it's okay.
see.
Have you ever painted that?
So initially I was thinking of painting it, but then that's how the story in a way clicked in my head, that it is not just particular scar, it can be the whole body in a way, and every scar would have its own story, its own in a way experience with that coming up with the experience to that person. So that's why I thought of, in a way asking people to paint their own body. And that's how it all started. So earlier I was using my body initially to getting painted and then to draw it from that photograph. But then I've started using people's experience for my, in a way, expression.
You spoke of evidence. Can you elaborate a little bit about what you meant by using the body as evidence, marks on the body as evidence?
Right. So when generally people like we go through life, you live a life for around 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. So all those experiences which you go through, eventually that mood, that sense of upbringing, that sense of environment you live in.
You mean the facial scars?
Yes, everything. Facial scars.
The hand, the marks.
Yes, body, on hands, everywhere on your body parts. I mean, I have gone through accidents. I have like bunch of marks on my body, on my thigh. So that may not tell you about a particular accident, but it is also telling a story which you may not know. Maybe I am knowing it, but it also creates that sense of abstract, in a way, visual, which I am interested in. A sense of curiosity and sense of making of that person. So in a way, it is a dense. I don't know if I should be calling a poetry, but in a way, yes, a poem happening on your body, and I would want to portray it in a very mundane, rather non in a way theatrical format, but yet to have that sense of relatability by placing them or placing these figures in a particular, let's say, positions or according.
And is the need, because you mount your ideas as evidence, is that the need for you to use the visual tool of hyper-realism? Now, I know you don't like the word hyper-realism. I'll keep it open and I want to ask you this question. What is the word that you refer? Because it's photorealistic. Your works are inspired from photographs, from lens-based images. And so that gets that visual from the camera gets transferred onto a canvas. And I know you don't like the word hyper-realistic, but is that the reason why you use this tool? Because of the concept of evidence, where you use the history and you don't want to make it more than it already is? The realism is too...
Right.
It's too beautiful for you? Or you see aesthetics? What is your...
So, I mean, I would try and answer my way.
Sure.
Rather than... I do not know. I somehow don't relate with the terminologies. But then I have my own ways of answering, in a way, defining. So for my expression, I needed to go a little more deeper than just the usual face. I could have painted face from life, like having model in front of me and then painting it.
Yes.
But then I was not really looking for it. I was looking for each and every detail. That was needed for my expression. So tomorrow, if I have to be doing some carving for my expression, I would do that. So in a way, to justify my expression, I in a way taking help of the photograph, which is again I am taking those. So I'm taking the I'm using those photographs as a in a way tool, and I in a way relate with painting much. I mean, I see myself as a painter. So in a way, from blank canvas to claiming it as my expression, you have this steps, like in a way layers I go through. I paint through layers, and that's how in a way I reach out to that visual, and that's how I say that visual is mine now, my painting. So that's how and photograph definitely becomes an important tool, but certainly painting is the expression. I try and say that this is me.
So Parag, you said that your works are hyper-realistic. For the general audience out there who usually consider paintings, who have seen paintings, very few of them have actually confronted a hyper-realistic painting. Can you explain to the general audience what is hyper-realism and what is your process all about?
So for me, I do not really relate much with the hyperrealism. For the sake of my visual need or my need for the expression, I in a way went on doing these detailed works. So I'm yet to maybe think about from a visual perspective, definitely you can consider me as a hyperrealistic artist. But in a way, I think I have like particular subjects which I paint in a way. So I still somehow, I do not know why, I may not have like good answer for it, that why I do not want to get tagged as hyperrealistic artist. But that becomes easy sometimes. So you put somebody in a bracket and oh, he's a hyperrealistic artist.
You're not just a hyperrealistic.
I would in a way agree to that.
If somebody out there getting inspired by your practice wants to start or try their hand at doing a painting for themselves, maybe they take a copy of their parents, maybe they take a photograph of their best, their childhood memory, and they start copying it. Do you think they should start small, or do you think they should do ambitious large-scale work?
No. Initially, I would definitely suggest everyone, I mean, whoever is trying to, in a way, do realism or any kind of expression for that matter, do it in your capacity. If you really want to handle large works, try doing it. Try giving it a shot. I mean, there's definitely something can happen, but I would definitely suggest try handling a manageable size. Start with small. Start with some basic understanding first, and then like lead yourself step by step further.
So start small and go in detail, rather than start large and then give up eventually.
Maybe I would agree. Yeah.
Because I've seen Parag work over the years, for the last 10 years. Going to his studio 3 times in a year and seeing him work on the same painting is not boring for him, but for someone who comes and says you're still working on this artwork, it's pretty commendable.
No, sometimes it does get boring. I should not be in a way, but anyway, that's my expression, so I have to be at it.
He's a marathon runner. It's not a sprint. That's your practice. That's all.
Yeah.
I wanted to also ask you, how do you choose your subjects? I want to ask you, your images seem to have visuals of human bodies.
Yeah.
They seem to be charred, some have marks, there are bruises, there are different kinds of, your language is, it's not a pretty picture. Let's put it that way. It's not a pretty picture in the general popular sense of the word. How do you choose how do you choose your subject? How do you say, I'm going to paint this? How do you lock onto that idea? How do you make that decision? And based on what?
So earlier when I had started, it was very visceral. I mean, it came to me. I mean, earlier I did not really choose, but in a way that idea clicked in my head, and I then started pursuing it. And the way I was pursuing it, I saw myself that I'm really not interested in like popular notion of beauty. But then I would rather want to have my visuals, my head, because I'm in a way also, not interested in painting popular projection or the like masculine, like well-fit, well-toned male body, female body, or whatever. But my immediate surrounding and my immediate people, and then definitely then also you are choosing. You are not just painting everyone and anyone coming your way, but then you are choosing. So that act or that choice for me to rationalize is very different, or in a way give a sense of reason for it. But when you look at the model, you look for a sort of native features, or does it really fit in your mental requirement for the visual? Is he really, or is that person is having that sort of evidence, or is he just, or she's just having that, you know, plain skin or something? So I'm not really looking for always looking for scars or something, or as soon as I see the scar, oh, that person is locked. Nothing happens like that.
That's my model.
So you also choose very viscerally. You know it in your brain. Oh, I would want to paint it, and suddenly you get caught by the visual. But I mean, to say this is again very difficult, because I have been spending almost 6 months deciding, not deciding, yes, no, that way. And somehow eventually I thought, if this person is having so much presence of yes, no in my mind, I should be painting it and not just letting him go. So that's how sometimes I have selected some models which I have painted eventually. And sometimes as soon as you see the visual, you know it, this is your visual, you have to paint it.
You own it.
Yeah, you own it somehow. And then you, by requesting the person, asking the person, then you try and have a dialogue. You make them understand if like, what is your idea, what you're trying to do. And sometimes they agree. And yeah.
So Parag also is an artist who works with the human body, and obviously once you encounter the human body as a subject, there are concepts like nudity, there are concepts like the nude, and Parag does very large scale, hyper realistic, upfront confrontational nude works. I want to speak to you about what is the general perception of a viewer when they approach your work, and they experience your work. What are the kind of conversations you have with people about? People must be really curious, because the kind of nudity that is delivered by your visual is again extremely detailed. It's not possible to brush it away. It's in your face nudity. How do you you know, obviously while painting it you're having thoughts, but once it's done and the people watch it,
right.
do you feel like you get the same feedback that what you were trying to deliver? Is the message delivered, or do people come to you and they still shock you with their responses?
Sometimes yes, but I would want to understand it is like you are looking for the answer just for the nude or generalized idea?
For the nude, because
for the nude.
Okay. We're in India, and it's still not comfortable.
Yes, I agree.
People look at it, they think being nude, to be nude is to be naked. I know you don't think that. I don't think that. There's a large majority of people, a private part. They kind of like hope or try to censor it. Yours is an uncensored, unfiltered, hyper real, large scale, clear upfrontal work. So what are the responses?
So generally, if you ask me, I really paint them without projection, as part of nature, as part of no sense of projection is a good word. Like with the clothes, projection comes with certain body type, not body type, posture projection comes. So I would want them to be seated who they are as a person, and generally by speaking to them, I generally try and make them comfortable. Of course, I totally understand no person would be comfortable sitting nude, but then that's how you speak to them. Maybe you make them aware about what you're trying to do and what is your intention. But for the responses, if you're saying, I have seen people literally running away as soon as they saw the visual. I mean, that was one response. And I've also seen,
What is your response to their response?
So sometimes I was like, I was in a way shocked when a woman came to my studio and literally ran away from the studio. I was like, maybe something wrong must have happened. So my studio was a bit of outside, and maybe a monkey could walk in. So I thought maybe a monkey or something, they must be fighting or something must be there.
In Baroda?
In Baroda. So I did not really know what is happening. So I, in a way, went walking fast into my studio and I saw nothing. So for me, and then I realized, and there was this nude painting in my studio. And then I realized, it was this painting which made her, in a way, had that sense of response the way she had. And
the artwork really affected her.
Yeah, and in a way, in a way, for that only maybe I'm making the works, not for this particular response, but all sort of response, which creates some sort of experience in viewer's mind, and that sense of relation. So mostly, especially when we are talking about nudes, so when you encounter them, they are straight away looking into you. So they are not in a way naked. Maybe they are in a way seeing that nakedness in you.
They're watching you watch them.
Exactly. So that sense of performance, that sense of dialogue is happening if you look at it carefully.
Yeah. My last question to you, while I know you're an indoor studio artist,
okay,
but very recently you have started exploring the outdoor mural space, the mural scene. And you have done some iconic artworks all over India, from the Kochi Binale, you've done stuff in Bombay, you've done, as part of various festivals, you have been a part in your hyper-realistic paintings of the eyes in Goa, and I mean, other people use your works as they're in films, on thousands of Instagrammers have used your painting to make their life better because of your contribution. It's a hit, basically. It works. Have you ever considered how that audience is perceiving your same work which you were doing on the canvas? Or do you have a different approach? Do you drop the resolution a little bit when you're outdoor?
See, I mean, different.
You do it faster because it's hot.
I totally agree. I mean, definitely the way I work in the studio, that sense of relaxation, that sense of being, that sense of peace is not there when you're working on the streets and people would be just coming and would want a selfie from you, or would want to take a photo. They might want to talk to you. So this all has happened, but then, so when you are really painting on the streets, you are really not in a comfortable space. So in a way, even like my approach when I'm painting on the streets is like, paint as soon as you can or as fast you can, and then leave the space. But definitely, even for me to take the sort of paintings I've been doing on streets took me around at least 10 to 8 days for a painting. So in a way, you try giving as much as time as what the visual is asking, and
My question to you is, how is it that a 40 feet painting by a Parag Sonarghare outdoor takes 10 days, but a 10 feet indoor comfortable painting takes 1.5?
So I mean,
by the same artist, you.
So I mean,
you're doing outdoor works faster.
Okay, yeah.
And you're doing indoor.
So definitely detailing is there, brushstroke is there. So if you see my canvas, it will be like very neatly maintained, very neatly managed. Every patch, you would not see a patch. So I generally works with layers of like 15-20 layers of paint on my painting. You wouldn't realize it, and you would still see the texture of the canvas. But in outdoor, that doesn't happen. I paint with rollers, and the part you mentioned, that it has the detailing wise outdoor works are not those densely detailed, but then I also choose those sort of visual which I can also make on streets and in a fast way. But then when you are in the studio, there's also this sense of making love to your work.
Yeah.
And on the streets, it's about in a way painting a visual.
And you're also performing.
Yes, in a way. I like that sense of scale, that sense of labor you put in the work. So I mean, I do both the works for both two different causes and
with two different mindsets.
Mindsets, yes.
Two different mindsets. Thank you for speaking to us on Gazali. It's been a great conversation. It's been great talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.